everybody. This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. This meeting of February 11th, 2020 was included in a meeting notice sent to the Burlington County Times and Courier Post on January 8th, 2020, and advertised in said newspapers on January 10th, 2020 and January 11th, 2020, respectfully posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building on January 9th, and has remained continuously posted as required under the statute. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. So I'd like to call to order. The first thing on the agenda is the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. First thing we would like is a roll call.
Mayor McLaughlin.
Here.
Mrs. Gilmore.
Here.
Mr. Costa.
Here.
Ms. Schneider.
Here.
Mr. Klaus.
Here. So we have the approval of the reorg minutes of January 7th, 2020. Would somebody like to make a motion?
Second.
A vote, please.
Mr. Klaus.
Yes.
Ms. Schneider.
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore.
Yes.
Mr. Costa.
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin.
Yes. And approval of the regular committee meeting minutes of January 7th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Costa.
Yes.
Ms. Schneider.
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore.
Yes.
Mr. Klaus.
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin.
Yes. And the report section, the tax collector, code enforcement, fire official, construction, and emergency service reports for January 2020.
Motion.
So moved.
Mr. Klaus.
Yes.
Ms. Schneider.
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore.
Yes.
Mr. Costa.
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin.
Yes. And right away, we have comments from the public on agenda items only. Yes, ma'am. Anna?
Good evening. Anna Evans, 63 Parry Drive. I have 3 comments. First is on resolution N in the consent agenda. I would like to request that that is removed from the consent agenda. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that, Mr. Gillespie, or not, but I think that the township residents would like to hear why we are re-engaging New Jersey Animal Control after there was so much upset about the video of him abusing the dog. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing is Resolution R, which is the reappointment of Tristan Silk to the Joint Land Use Board. Right. I've done a little bit of research on Tristan. He is the principal of Property Management Services based in Hainesport, and he is also, as a property developer, undertaking some property development with the township of Hainesport in that he's involved in an affordable housing development. And my feeling is that this is a conflict of interest and that we should not have a property developer on the Joint Land Use Board, right? Because so many of the decisions that the Joint Land Use Board make are related to affordable housing and other issues. So I just want to make that clear that I think that's a conflict of interest. There are 6,000 people in Hainesport, 4,000 people presumably of age to serve on the Joint Land Use Board. I don't see why we can't pick somebody who doesn't have a conflict of interest. Okay? And then my third point would be on Resolution 2020-66-2. Now, this is rescinding a resolution that was made in December of last year. I have a copy of it here. This resolution was passed unanimously by the previous committee. And the only change between then and now is that we have replaced the eminently reasonable Frank Mashocki with Mayor McLaughlin. So what I don't understand is why 2 members, and I would assume that those are the 2 members who voted for McLaughlin to be mayor, are changing their vote on this issue. And it's particularly striking because I actually have here those 2 members. I'm talking about Ted Costa and Lee Schneider, by the way. campaign literature from 2017 where they talk about this exact same cafeteria plan, which at the time they wanted to remove not just for the retirees, but for everybody. Now, I don't want to get into the debate of whether it is or isn't appropriate for those people to get those benefits. That is, I know that you said, Lee, on Hainesport Happenings, you're going to tell us why. My problem is that those two members of our committee are under the sway of the mayor, and they are not thinking independently. Why are you changing your mind 3 months after making a decision? The only thing I can see is that's changed is that we now have a different mayor, right? We didn't vote for you to be under Mayor McLaughlin's sway. We voted for you to be independent thinkers. So I would like you to bear that in mind when you make all your future decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Louis Marsden, 62 Perry Drive, Hainesport, New Jersey. Hello to all. I got a curious question that's been on my mind now for a couple of years. I'm looking at all the ordinances you're going to pass tonight where you have civil engineers, contractors, and what have you for the township, which I'm not disagreeing we need or don't need. We need them. And I'm not saying whether they're qualified or not, but here's my question so I could answer these questions. When you go out to solicit engineers and people to work in the town, do you get bids or quotes or some sort of documentation from them, the ones you choose in other companies, that the township people could look up? And where it is, if you could tell me.
Absolutely. We put out a request for a proposal
Right.
for all the services that we need. We accept bids, and the township committee will pick the best qualified individual to do that particular task.
Right, where can I see
That
these
we had a
bids?
response from.
Where can I see these bids?
I'm going to ask you, are they available to the public?
Absolutely. Sir, you can, Mr. Mosman, you can do an OPA request, and I would be more than happy to share that with you, as well as the evaluation criteria.
Right, the Freedom of Information Act.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, I do that with the government all the time, and that's what I felt you might say. And that's what I just want to conclude. So people in the township, if they're interested in finding out what other people bid by getting in touch with you under the Freedom of Information Act, we could find out this information.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor McLaughlin, and how you doing all, and Happy New Year.
Yeah.
And I just want to thank 3 Hainesport residents that came to my job, I think about a week ago, and said very thank you for recording it. And they shared it, and they appreciate, going my way. I'm like 5 minutes away from where I live. So I want to say thanks to the 3 person. And only question I have is resolution are X and Y.
Okay.
You clarify for me more?
What's your question?
More clarify?
Which one?
X
X.
and Y.
Well, X is a resolution to extend a contract for TLC Landscape for the lawn care and maintenance of our recreation complex and some other park grounds. What is the, what would
I
be the
just want to
question?
clarify.
Pardon me?
Just want to know more information.
Yeah, they're in the middle of a contract, if I'm not mistaken, and we're just extending it. And then why? We have a budgetary requirement that we extend to the fire company, and this resolution does that this year.
I've got some other questions, observing comment. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Louis.
Anybody else? Okay. I know we were thinking about the EMS captain, but he's not, Paula, that's not on?
Yeah, I apologize. I was,
That's not
it's
on.
actually supposed to be next month, so that's
Okay,
my
it's
fault.
okay.
It was
Okay.
never scheduled for tonight. I apologize.
No, that's fine. All right. So let's move on. So we have ordinance 2020-1 to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and establish a cap bank. That is something that's done every year, where we're allowed to raise taxes by a certain amount, but if we establish a cap bank, we sort of bank the ability to raise taxes a penny or two more. Is it a penny, penny and a half? If necessary. I don't think we've ever done it, but it's something that just about every town does, just in case of an emergency or some unforeseen circumstance. So I'd look for a motion on that.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes, I just want to explain to everyone that we had the same resolution last year, and we reduced taxes, and we hope we can do it again. Aye.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. So next is consent agenda resolutions. They're listed on the agenda that I hope everybody had a copy of. And it's resolutions 2020 XX2. And basically that's appointing our professional services. And law does not require me to read them all. If anybody wants me to read every one, I will. Okay. So we're looking for a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Vote, please.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. So now we're in some more resolutions here. Resolution 2020 XX2 is a resolution, I'm actually reading off another list here. I'm going to read off the right list. 2020-52-2, which authorizes the aerial larvicide application.
Motion?
Can we have discussion on that?
Absolutely.
Okay, I just have concern because every time we do some type of aerial application, the public sometimes feels they're not notified. So is there a way we can assure that people are notified they're spraying something, what they're doing, and just be more in tune with that?
Sure. So the county publishes the spraying schedule for the entire county, and what we did was push that out and put it up on our website, and anybody who has the email blog set up or email blast set up to receive, they would get that directly. And I do believe that they sprayed several times last year in Hainesport, but they do the county is the one that does the spraying. And they do post that, and we will provide a link on our website so that the community is informed.
Can we have it posted in the, near the tax office, so when they're walking
Up
in,
on
they
the
can see
wall?
it? Yeah, that'd
Absolutely.
be just, the more people know.
We do have it on our board next to the clerk's office, but we
Okay.
can put it up, we'll make sure it's down at the tax end too.
Good.
No problem.
So we need a vote.
I need a second.
Second.
You need a
We don't have a, we have a motion?
I'll give a second.
Second, okay.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. The next resolution is 2020-53-2, with authorizes an amendment to our Hainesport Employee Handbook to provide for a domestic violence policy.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. Resolution 2020-54-2 authorizes the appointment of Class 4 Alternate Number 2 Joint Land Use Member. It's a 2-year term expiring 12/31/21 in the name of Tristan Silk.
I got a question. This
Sure.
is your appointee as the mayor, is that correct?
Well, I received no letters from anybody about wishing to serve on the planning board.
Right, but you have the right as the mayor.
That's my choice, yes. He's a resident, and he's enabled by law to serve as an alternate on the planning board.
I'll make the motion with the knowledge that the planning board attorney will advise Mr. Silk, who's being appointed an alternate, to recuse himself, should there be a conflict of interest, and I'm sure that will be done.
Absolutely. He can't vote on anything within 200 feet of his house, or even his, I think even his business, right, John?
We have a conflict.
Yeah. So we have a motion, we have a second? Jerry, did you make a motion?
No, Ted made the motion.
Yeah.
1 second. Yeah. I'll second it.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
No.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes. Okay, Resolution 2020-55-2 authorizes a change order in the, change order number 1 in the contract for the New Jersey Department of Transportation Trust Fund resurfacing of Phillips Road, which is something we tried to get for many, many years, Paul, and we could never get it, and it's a great job. Thank you.
Motion?
Second.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. Resolution 2020-57-2, accepting a maintenance bond for fiscal year 2018, again, NJDOT Trust Fund resurfacing of Phillips Road, which is something that has to be done contractually on a project.
Motion?
Second.
Excuse me, is this 56 or 57? Do we do 56?
56. This is 56.
Correct.
56. Okay, Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. Resolution 2020-58-2, authorizing acceptance of New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Radon Awareness
Excuse-
Program grants.
Mayor McLaughlin, Resolution 57 is next. There's three tied to
I'm
Phillips
sorry,
Road,
you're right,
so it's
right, there
easy
was
to...
two. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, there was, yes, okay. So let me back up. 2020-57-2, accepting a maintenance bond for the same project on Phillips Road.
Motion?
Second.
Too much Phillips Road.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. Resolution 2020-58-2, accepting the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Radon Awareness Program grant.
Motion.
Second.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. Resolution 2020-59-2, adopting the Burlington County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Motion.
Second?
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes, if anybody needs an explanation of some of these ordinances, stop me, and I'll get Paula to explain them, because some of them I don't even know what they are. They're a little complicated, but it's things we have to do. So, we have a vote, and we're all done with that one, right? And then we got Resolution 2020-60-2, and again, this is to authorize a one-year extension of the contract with TLC Landscape for lawn care and field maintenance of the Hainesport Recreational Complex, Hainesport Chase Park, Hainesport Township Public Park, and Cocos Heights / Samuel H. Robbins Park.
Motion?
Second.
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. Kitty, do you have a question on one of these resolutions? Okay. Sorry. I'll look. I didn't see your hand up there.
Well, it's not, you wouldn't have done that anyway. It's not open to the public or
No.
resolution.
No, well,
Was in the beginning.
I'm going to open it up if they need an explanation of the ordinance. That's all. comment on the ordinance can be later. Resolution 2020-61-2, acknowledging budgetary commitment for the Hainesport Volunteer Fire Company.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. This is something relatively new. Resolution 2020-62-2, adopting technology risk management standards in compliance with the New Jersey Excess Liability and Joint Insurance Funds Cyber Risk Management Plan, Tier 1 requirement. So we're trying to guard against,
I'll make a motion.
Second.
okay.
Mr. Costa?
Yes, just an explanation. These things are put forth by our insurance company to maintain our low rates. That's why we're voting for this.
Okay. Ms.
Aye.
Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. Resolution 2020-63-2, authorizing specifications and solicitation of bids for a solid waste contract.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. Okay, just a few more left. Resolution 2020-65-2, authorizing purchase of sound barrier panels for the pickleball courts, which these are at Hainesport Chase.
Excuse me? You
Again?
skipped women's.
Sorry,
suffrage.
trying to go a little too quick. Sorry. I'm backing up.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. And I did that unintentionally. Resolution 2020-64-2 supports the celebration of the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage. I apologize.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Yeah.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes, and I had to tell my wife, this is women's suffrage, not women's suffering.
Yeah. All
Big
right.
difference.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Men's suffrage.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. Okay, here we are with the pickleball courts. Resolution 2020-65-2. And we're going to put some sound barrier panels at the pickleball courts on Easton Way.
Can we, I just have a discussion.
Absolutely.
I'm a little concerned of what the wind load is on these, because I've seen many tennis courts where they put up banners, and it ends up being such a wind load that the poles can't, and they push the fence down. So I guess,
Sure.
well, proceeding, like a billboard has, 50 pounds per foot I-beams, and the surface area of these on the fence more than exceeds the surface area of a large billboard. So I'm concerned that they act like a sieve and let the air through. That's a concern. I don't want to see it, and if not, we got to figure out a way of getting them down in a hurry so that we don't damage our fence in a high wind. So I have that concern about this.
Sure.
And again, Mick Dickinson has a comment. John, does he need to be sworn in?
I was just going to say, not Easton, you're doing the park.
Back here?
Yeah.
All right, we're talking about Easton Way too, so. All right, so that's out there. Ready for a motion.
If I,
Yeah, I'd like
Yes.
to see what Paul has to say
just
about
to
this.
to address it, I mean, this is a patent pending, this is a patented sound barrier system that's used all throughout the country. I'm sure that those concerns are addressed and have been met. I have not specifically gone through the specifications to ensure that. However, our Public Works Department will be putting them up, and it will have the ability to take them down should there be a catastrophic wind event.
There should be a calculation, a wind load calculation per square foot on them, as opposed to something being solid,
Yeah.
that we have to consider.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure before we put them up or make the purchase, that they've taken that in consideration.
Okay.
The next resolution, 20, did we vote?
We gotta vote on that.
We're going to vote on it?
I don't mind voting on it, I just want
Let's
to make
vote,
sure,
yeah. Okay, so we have a resolution
Motion.
I'll second.
and a motion, Okay, now we need a vote.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. Resolution 2020-66-2 is a resolution that I brought forward. I respectfully disagree with members of the committee on the resolution that was passed in December. I actually have a speech written, which I will not give because everybody up here is entitled to their own opinion. And had I been a member of the committee at that time, I would not have eliminated retirement health benefits for 72 and 85-year-old ex-employees. So we're going to pull that and respectfully respect each and every committee member's opinion. The next resolution is 2020-67-2, authorizing the administrator to conduct a municipal sidewalk study. I'm going to explain that one. Pardon me? No, I'm pulling it. I'm pulling it.
You need a motion for that, don't you, sir?
No, I do not. I do not. I'm not introducing it. I'm not introducing it. There's a lot of dangerous situations around town caused by trees that have lifted the sidewalks, some of them as high as 6 inches. There's some potential liability problem on the part of the town, and we're going to take a look at the sidewalks and what can be done to correct the situations. So that resolution is 2020-67-2.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. Okay, so now we're into the business section of the meeting. Approval of business licenses. John, can I read them all?
You can do them all.
Okay.
Do A through E.
So we're going to do A through E and ask for one motion.
Motion.
Second.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes, except the one with my name on it. I have to recuse myself from my business license.
Okay. Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. We have some correspondence that was received. I'd like to file a motion to receive and file it.
So moved.
You have a second?
Oh, second.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. Now we have another comments from the public. Please raise your hand. Yes, sir. Come on up.
Louis Marsden, 62 Perry Drive, Hainesport, New Jersey. On these sound barrier panels that apparently somebody thinks we need, that's fine. Has anybody thought about the graffiti that might be on them? If they get painted up and slopped up, it's not going to do anything for the neighborhood or our housing values. Some of them have where if you spray it with paint, it runs off. I don't know if there's that type of texture, and I haven't seen them, but my only concern, my only thought for you guys are, will they be put up and 3 months later during the summer be full of graffiti? Just a thought.
Thank you. Anna, come on up.
Anna Evans, 63 Perry Drive. I just have a general problem, a point to make. When I was speaking earlier, nobody responded to anything I said. But when a resident was speaking, you were perfectly happy to respond to him. This reminds me of the bad old days, 2 or 3 years ago, when there was this decision that nobody would respond to anybody who was
Well,
being
I guess it's
vague.
my prerogative to respond to your comments or not, and they didn't seem to warrant a response.
Oh, I'm glad you
So
felt
that's
that
my
way.
choice.
It is?
Not that I won't respond to you in the future, but those comments seem to be well thought out, and they didn't necessarily make me feel like I needed to respond.
That's fine, so long as you don't then take the opportunity of your personal committee comment section to respond to my comments at a point where I can no longer engage with you.
Listen, I run an open meeting. If there's a comment or a question on a resolution or an ordinance, the kind of meetings I run, you raise your hand, we'll entertain you.
Well, why
We have
didn't
two-
we-
We have two public comment sections. Comment away. If it's something I feel I need to respond to, or I need to invoke our attorney or administrator to respond to the comment, that's my prerogative, and I'll do that. But it doesn't mean I don't want to talk to you, because I've known you a long time, and I have no problem talking to you.
So why was there no discussion of the reason for re-employing New Jersey Animal Control? That was one of my points.
Nope, I don't know if anybody brought it up. Did anybody bring it up? Are
I-
you bringing it up now?
No, I brought it up in the first public comment. I wanted it removed from the consent agenda. I asked Gillespie if we could remove it. He didn't respond to me.
I chose
You didn't-
I chose not to remove it because we have to have an animal control officer.
I understand that,
And
but
we may not have one that you like or that I like, but we have to have one.
But my point is that you just said that you were going to be open and discursive when I made a comment that you don't even remember that I made.
I remember you made it,
But you took
but
no
I'm not
trouble
going to
to
respond
address
to it
it at
because I have
that
no
time.
intentions of removing it. It's been acted on, and that's the way it is.
Right, and again,
Go ahead. What else do you have?
this is, well, all of this is illustrative of
It's
my,
comment. It's public comment. You're allowed to comment.
right, and that's
Go ahead. Comment away.
illustrative of my issue.
Comment away.
Which is that we used to have a situation where the committee largely ignored residents, and it was bad. And then we got Mayor Mashocki, and he turned things around, and we got to a situation where there was fairly good discussion between the committee and residents, and the residents were getting information that they needed. And I don't want to see us go back to those bad old non-transparent days where we can get information, but it's like pulling teeth.
Okay, well, what would you like to know? I'll try to help you. But
This is
you have
a general
I'll let you
comment?
Comment.
About...
Not a question and answer session, it's a comment. You're
Okay.
allowed to comment. If I feel the township needs to make a response, I'll invoke the attorney or the administrator or myself,
So-
or any other member of the committee can chime in and answer your
So
comment.
on the specific question of the New Jersey Animal Control Officer, are you saying that the reason we had to employ them is that there were no other bids received?
Okay, I'll answer that question. We actually did receive another bid. The only problem is, as far as we can ascertain, they have no federal tax ID number, and they're not a business that we're necessarily allowed to conduct business with. I don't think the search is over, but we needed to do what we needed to do for the time being. The contract, if I'm not mistaken, Paul, has a 30-day,
She wouldn't even submit
Cancellation?
the bid, right?
what's that?
She wouldn't even submit the bid.
She didn't even submit a bid.
asked
No, I
her to.
apologize.
She would not submit.
Because we vetted that particular animal control company out, and believe it or not, I don't want to get into too many things because I don't know what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say, but we just couldn't do business with that company, the only other company that submitted a bid.
Okay, but so you now clarified that this is not a year's contract, but a 30-day contract?
No, it's a year.
It is a year, so there's no point anyone getting upset about this particular animal control officer until the end of 2020?
I'm not saying we're not still looking, but again, I wish sometimes that we could do all the things that everybody thinks we can do. We can't invent a animal control company, as you know, Anna, and we only had a bid from one, and we need to have an animal control officer. I understand the various people are not happy about that, but that's the best we could do for right now.
And that's fine. My major point is it shouldn't be like pulling teeth for me to get that information
Well, I had no
out of
intentions
you.
of pulling the ordinance. You asked me to pull the ordinance. I had no
Out of the
intentions
consent
of it. I'm not gonna enter
agenda,
an
so that it
argument
could be
with you.
discussed, so that we
No
could all
discussion.
get that information without me coming up here
Now that you
and
asked,
trying to get it
you asked us to pull the resolution.
from the consent agenda.
Right, and I had
So
no
it could be
I had
discussed.
no intentions of doing that. Now you're asking me why we made that choice, and I'm more than happy to explain it to you.
And I thank you
And I
for
hope
that.
I explained it to you to
You
your
did,
satisfaction.
but my point was,
Thank you.
when I asked for the resolution to be taken off the consent agenda, it was so it could be discussed. That was my understanding of why things would be removed from the consent.
Go ahead, now's the time for public discussion, and that's what we're doing. Go ahead, John, chime in.
The request is made to the governing body. Nobody on the governing body felt the need to pull it from the consent agenda. It's up to the governing body. This is This is the governing body's action on resolutions, so it's preceded by public comment on agenda items only, so that you can make that request. Simply because you make that request, Ms. Evans, doesn't mean that the governing body has to accede to your request. The governing body has a difference of opinion from what you evidently have, and the governing body's opinion is, because they knew there was only one submission in response to the bid, that they really didn't have much of a choice. So to simply pull the resolution from the consent agenda to accommodate your request serves no business purpose, right? So there was only one submission that they could consider. They awarded the contract to that one submitter, bidder, proponent, whatever you want to call it, and they awarded the contract. That they chose not to pull it doesn't mean they're right or they're wrong in your eyes. They had a different understanding based upon what they know and evidently what you didn't know, which is fine. You didn't know there was only one bidder. But to stand there and harangue the governing body for not having acceded to your request to pull it, I don't understand that. They chose to act on the resolution as it was on the agenda, and that's what they did.
Right, and I perfectly understand now that it's all been explained to me, and I do apologize if I was haranguing you.
No, you weren't.
That's not
didn't
how I
feel
felt
that,
either.
but, sometimes it looks that way.
Right, and nobody ever harangues me, of course, ever.
Could look that way.
So again, my major point is not about this particular resolution, although I'm grateful that we now have clarity about why we are re-employing New Jersey Animal Control. It is that I do not want us to go back to the bad old days where it is really hard to get information out of the governing body. That's it. Thank
All
you.
you have to do is ask. So, I've been asked by a member of the committee to go backwards in the meeting and read a couple letters that were submitted to us by a resident. I'm not prepared to enter into any kind of a debate, nor I don't feel the committee is. But
Public comment.
yeah, I'm gonna just back up a little, digress a little bit, if you don't mind. Back to correspondence. I'll open up public comment as soon as I'm done. I'm not fanning it, but a member of the committee asked me to read these two letters that were submitted by a resident, and you know, I'm going to read them, okay? This is a resident. I would like to submit a resolution for Second Amendment rights. As a citizen of Hainesport and law-abiding firearm owner, I'm of the opinion the current administration in Trenton has infringed on my rights. The resolution's intent is to send a message to Trenton that law-abiding firearm owners in New Jersey are under constitutional attack. Furthermore, many feel firearms legislation passed in Trenton only burdens our Second Amendment rights. Once one has proven to be a law-abiding citizen of New Jersey by exemption of the firearms purchaser ID card, they have fulfilled the state's burden of proof. Our current permitting system was founded in 1966 and indented to separate the fit from the unfit. I think it was intended. I don't know if I'm reading that right. But anyway, no criminal follows any law. We, the law-abiding, are now under duress from our state government and criminals. I would ask you, our representatives, to consider this resolution for vote. I have attached a copy of this resolution. In no way does this resolution make anyone immune from past or present firearm laws. The other letter from the same resident, and I'm going to read this because she stated her name in the letter. My name is Nancy Scullion. I sent in the first year. Pardon me? Somebody?
She just said use the microphone.
Can you hear me? Okay, I apologize. My name is Nancy Scullion. I sent in the first of the year a resolution to make our great township, Hainesport, a Second Amendment sanctuary township, and was looking forward to see that on the committee agenda soon. I also had brought to the committee the possibility that Hainesport become a non-sanctuary township last year, and it never got anywhere due to the resolution written by Committeeman Costa. I was hoping you could reopen this possibly, since it was neither denied or approved. I believe if the residents want a safe place to live, this would benefit our township, especially since we have paid no police department patrolling our streets, properties or business. Thank you for your time and understanding to this matter. It was voted to receive and file the correspondence. Now we'll open up public comment again. If anybody has a comment. Yes, ma'am. Come on up.
Good evening, everyone. I am Nancy Scullion, 7 Lumberton Road.
Good evening.
Good evening. I have filed a resolution to the Hainesport Township Committee this year to ask for our great township to become a non-sanctuary township. Just yesterday, Attorney General William Barr announced that the Justice Department will be filing multiple lawsuits against sanctuary cities and states for unconstitutionally violating my immigration enforcement. The DOJ has now filed a federal complaint against the state of New Jersey, against its laws that forbid state and local enforcement from sharing vital information about criminal aliens with the Department of Homeland Security. You took an oath to abide by the laws set forth in the Constitution. Therefore, this township is breaking those laws, not becoming a non-sanctuary township. We must obey laws and stand our ground that Hainesport does not agree with lawbreakers in Trenton. On my resolution to become a Second Amendment township, this resolution would bring attention to local government that law-abiding citizens of New Jersey are concerned with the legislation being passed in Trenton. The current administration has proven to be anti-Second Amendment. It sends a clear message to Trenton and the current legislator: we the people will not tolerate more gun control laws being passed under the false narrative of public safety. This was the original intent of the New Jersey permit scheme. The resolution brings firearm owners together for a common goal. Opens up dialogue to better inform the public that firearms are safe. This resolution is completely bipartisan. Both Democrats and Republican firearm owners can agree. Our main goal is to stop the flood of Second Amendment infringements through public awareness and self-governance. Every law-abiding firearm owner must be 18 years of age for a long gun and 21 years of age to own a handgun. Every firearm owner must apply for a New Jersey firearms purchaser ID card. Application process includes an extensive background check, a mental health check, and provide references. Once completed, we are considered exempt. We are also, by New Jersey state permit laws, we are considered a non-risk to public safety and are allowed to exercise our Second Amendment rights by exception. In the interest of public safety, in New Jersey, there are approximately 33 carry permits, 33,000 carry permits. 1,500 of those permits are speculated to be civilian citizens. The others are retired law enforcement. Almost 100% of homicides and armed robberies occur by non-fit element of the public-criminal. Yet the New Jersey legislature continues to present gun control laws on the narrative of public safety. By passing more gun control laws, the legislature is actually making people less safe with restrictions. Mr. Mayor, may I approach to give you the lawsuit filed by the United States of America versus the State of New Jersey, Governor Philip Murphy, and the State Attorney General, Mr. Graywall.
Absolutely.
May I also give Paula a copy of my statement?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Scullion.
Thank you.
Somebody else had public comment? Come on up, Mrs. Cliver.
Ginny Cliver, 118 Mount Laurel Road. My question is, when I heard that you were going to be the mayor here, Mr. McLaughlin, was I hope you're not going to decide to give yourself health benefits like you did before, because I'm not paying for them. I've paid before, and we paid much too much. And are you planning to give yourself health benefits?
No, I didn't give myself health benefits last time. The township offered them to me to become...
Oh, really?
You want to let me finish? They offered them to me to become a committee member in 1997. But there's no more...
Well, then you shouldn't have accepted them, then, should you?
I accepted them, and everybody knew I accepted them. And
Knew any more good jokes?
hey, whatever.
Gee.
Thank you.
Well, just don't try it this time.
Okay.
Because I think it's going to be really bad.
All right, I won't. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Clive.
Thank you, Jenny.
I'll try not to pull anything. All right. Anybody else? Mr. Murdy?
My name is Mark Murdy, 2614 Creek Road. And looking at all the people in here today, I noticed two gentlemen in the back wearing New Jersey State police officer uniforms. I'd like them to ascertain how many people that are gun carry permit owners have all the personal records that they need to have, who are legal to carry guns in the state of New Jersey, have committed serious felonies with their weapons. Do you have an idea, gentlemen?
Mark, I don't want to put them on the spot, but...
I do not have one for you right now.
Yeah, that's putting them on
All
the spot.
right, sorry. And besides that, I like what you guys do, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, thank you.
The next thing is, last time I was up here last month, I think I had the same thing that Nancy brought up, and it wasn't the time for it. It needs to happen. The thing that the General Barr is going against the state of New Jersey has got to be the greatest thing in the world. He's also going against California. He's also going against New York. There's going to be a whole lot of stuff that's going to be changing. That'll be great for everyone. And that's what I have for right now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Anybody else for public comment? Come on up.
Catherine McNeil, 407 Bischoff Avenue. I've been for many years trying to get a cat ordinance in this township. You keep telling me that you cannot, there's no way that you can enforce it.
Katie, pull the microphone up a little closer. They can't hear you in the back.
I've been asking for many years for a cat ordinance, and I live over on Bischoff Avenue. When they put townhouses behind me 25 years or so ago, about 2 years after that, I captured 25 cats and kittens and took them to the shelter.
Yeah.
A couple years later, I captured 15 and took them to the shelter. And at the time, I didn't realize that because they were wild, they were being put to sleep just automatically. So many years later, I decided I couldn't do it anymore. So when I captured these cats, I had them spayed and neutered. I have 6 of them now, 3 females and 3 males. And I take care of them. It costs me hundreds of dollars a year to feed them. But every year, somebody gets a cat, or maybe they're dropping them at my house, I don't know. All I know is a cat shows up, has 4 kittens. I was able to catch 2 of them. They found homes for them. The other 2 are still around. One of them got pregnant. I have a house for my cats. I went out there, and there's a kitten in the house with the cat. It ran as soon as I came out the door, but the kitten couldn't run fast enough, so I caught it. So this just was in the winter, this happened. The last cat that I had spayed had 5 litters that year. And I captured all the kittens and had them all get homes. this time I couldn't catch them. So now I'm getting kittens again. I can't seem to catch this one cat. So I go out my door the other day, well, it's been about a week ago. There's a Siamese kitten running around my backyard. I've tried to catch it, I can't. And I can't afford this anymore. If there was some way that you could just tell people to register their cats. If it came in my yard, I could at least call somebody and say, could you come get your cat and keep it in your yard? Keep it out of my yard? But with no ordinance, there's nothing I can do. Nothing. And I just keep getting more and more of these cats and trying to catch them. And then, because I don't want them dying, I mean, they didn't ask to be born. I end up getting them fixed. And then I'm stuck with feeding them. And I can't afford that much more. So, and as far as an animal control officer, we really need one. I understand this group that you have here, they're never available. They're always so busy, they can't come out. I know because I've talked to a lot of people from different townships, and they have the same problem. They can't come out, so you're just stuck with whatever you catch or whatever you find. And I'm not real happy with that. I don't know how much it would cost for an animal control officer, but Hainesport had one for years. I know that because my daughter was doing it. And when she picked up the mayor's dog a couple times, they decided that they didn't need her anymore. So that's when we didn't have an animal control anymore. She went to Pemberton and worked there for 35 years. She just retired. But anyway, another thing, the 85-year-old person who had benefits taken away from them, being she didn't name any, didn't they get benefits when they were taken away?
Didn't they what?
Didn't he receive benefits the rest of his life?
He, from what I understand, he is in the retirement health benefit system, yes.
And he's gotten benefits
The
from
only
the
committee
township.
person.
So why did it have to be reinstated?
What reinstated?
You're reinstating the benefits for eligible retirees?
Well, you know what, I have a statement I'll make on that to clear up everybody's questions as insofar as what my intentions might be on that, might have been at this point, because the resolution was pulled.
I hope so.
Okay, you got anything else?
Is the police department still working out of this building?
Yes.
Because it seems like it takes a long time to get a police officer. And I understand they have to come all the way from Pemberton, or Bordentown now.
I see their cars here quite a bit.
Do you? Because I come by
I don't-
quite
I don't-
often and I don't.
We don't manage them, but their cars are here quite a bit.
Okay. I thought it'd be nice to know for sure, because a lot of people say that it takes so long for an officer to show up. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for allowing me to present a couple sentences to you. My name is Cliff Toy. I live in Tabernacle. I'm visiting tonight in honor of the Second Amendment sanctuary idea. And I would like to suggest very heartily that you folks give good consideration to that possibility. And you could be part of a fairly long list of people that are becoming sanctuary cities in our state.
Yeah, you gonna bring that up?
I'd be happy to leave you a copy. And at least two of them are counties. There's absolutely no reason why Burlington County should not be the third county. And I don't know, we're in the midst of getting a handle on this, so, but I hope you'll do that. And thank you again. I should mention, by the way, I'm a Purple Heart veteran from Vietnam.
Thank you for your service.
You're very welcome. When I went overseas, the thought was in my head that I was defending the Constitution. There are people in our state that make a travesty of our Constitution. They just don't know how to be with it. So let me give this to you, please.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I know the list is growing quickly. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Make sure the microphone, can you hear me? I'm going to grab my notes here. Want to ask a question.
State your name and...
Oh, sorry, Joe Bucks, Columbus. I know this isn't question and answer session, and I assume that you won't necessarily answer my questions, but I had a few. I guess the first is, does this body operate under Robert's rules? The second would be, under Robert's rules, Mr. Mayor, are you considered the chair? And then I'd also ask who's the parliamentarian for this body, right, which would be the person that actually enforces the rules under Robert's rules. And with the answers to those questions, I'd actually ask for you to confer with your solicitor to make the determination on whether or not, as the chair, there's any particular rule under Robert's rules, or if there's any statute that would allow you as mayor to unilaterally remove a particular item from the agenda. I don't believe that there is, and I would ask that you confer with your solicitor to make that determination. The other item is, I'm also here tonight to urge you to support this Second Amendment resolution. I think while it's symbolic in many ways, it's also a reaffirmation of the oaths that all of you have taken when you've all been sworn in to uphold the laws of the state and of the nation. So if you guys would consider that, I would absolutely urge you to look to pass that sort of resolution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on up, Anna.
It's just brief. I know I've already spoken, but because you introduced new material after I'd spoken, again, I would think I should be able to say something, which is just that clearly there's a push to get this Second Amendment resolution onto the agenda. They're organized, give them that. My concern is the same as we had with the sanctuary state and censure for Governor Murphy. This isn't what a governing body should be doing. It's a waste of our personal township resources and time, and we will be made fun of in the Burlington County Times yet again in one of their biting editorials if we do this. So I just bear all that in mind, and if you still end up putting this resolution on the agenda, obviously do know that when you do that, there's going to be a mobilization of the forces against that also, which we didn't have in place today.
And Nancy, come on up, but I don't want to turn this into a debate about the Second Amendment or the sanctuary city. There was just 2 letters that we introduced, and we were asked by a committee person to read them. So please make it short, because I'm not going to tolerate a debate on these issues. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Anna. I apologize.
I'm not really
I
sure.
thought you were done. Are you done? Or you have more? No, if you have more.
No, I'm fine. I'm just not really sure.
I thought you were done, and Nancy
The
raised
only
her
thing
hand.
I want to say
It's like,
is that you took an oath to this Constitution of the United States of America. The Second Amendment is not to be infringed upon, and that's all I have to say,
Okay,
and that's
thank
what
you.
you really
Thank
have
you.
to think about.
And we
Thank you,
heard
Ms.
that the
Scully.
first time. Okay. Spirited meeting. It was interesting. I hope everybody had their chance. Come on up, Louis. Mark, you'll be next.
Good evening, I'm a Mahi resident of 98 Lovers Drive. First question is, are you going to have any special on the Black History Month for Hainesport?
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry,
Are
Louis.
you going to have any presentation for Black History Month for February for Hainesport? Are you going to have one?
School.
Yeah, I think that would be the school, right?
School does that, Louis.
Oh, school? I thought the township do something like the other township, like Mahali do one, Lamington do one. Other than, just school. I would like to see the township, get involved in the Black History Month. I mean, in itself. And a question for the old council, for the recording meeting, what's the status do you have? It's been 1 year already?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I was typing.
So it will be 1 year of broadcasting the live video from Hainesport?
Over a year.
Oh. think this is our second year.
Yeah.
So, how's the first year, do you know the status, so you can send me? You know,
No,
how, you
I
know,
could-
how it went?
No, I mean, I could just go on YouTube and see how many times it's been viewed, because it's a link right onto YouTube. That's all, it's uploaded to YouTube, and then we provide the link. But I have not gone back to see how many views now.
Okay, like I said, you have 3 persons, I mean, to view it. One on site, one you got township, and other one people shared it so far. This week I shared twice already for the last 17 minutes. And Amy Corning wanted to say thank you to the veterans.
Okay.
Hainesport Plaza, has it been on sale or there's no progress for the Hainesport Plaza by Chopra?
Louis, I didn't understand you again, I apologize.
For the Hainesport, is that being on sale or a property?
Which property?
For the Hainesport Plaza, like Chopra?
Oh, you're referring to the article that was in today's paper? It was sold, and that's a private
Oh,
sale.
to a
We're not
private.
involved in that.
I just want to get, one person just want to clarify from you guys. And, I appreciate, coming here, and I do have, friends. I do love, class, your approach, everything, like I say, I like coming here and, record these meetings. I hope it'll be great, as, as Lumberton and Mohawk, this time over the area, high views, let everybody know what's going on.
Thank you, Louis, we
Okay.
enjoy having you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark, come on up. Does the police officer want to make a comment?
Yes, I would like.
Yes, come on up, officer.
Sergeant Rowley.
Sure he has some numbers.
Feel so happy.
Thank you.
I'll make it very quick, it's getting late.
No, take your time.
Sergeant Ray Lally, Bordentown Barracks.
Hi.
Just to address, ma'am, your comment, we are your local police, full-time. This is a substation, just to clarify, so troopers do not report here, we report to the Bordentown Barracks. The address is 389 Route 130 in Bordentown.
Right.
So that's where the men and women report to prior to shift. So this substation, just to clarify, is a place where we come, make phone calls, continue our reports, stop in, eat lunch, whatever it is. It's not a full-time, this isn't our headquarters.
Right.
That's located in Bordentown. But the troopers are out there. I cannot release our minimum manpower and can't get into the that aspect because it's not safe for the public to know how many troopers we have at all times in the town, everywhere else. But we are here. We have 0 late calls. Response time is very good.
We know that.
So we
Thank
are
you.
here. So when you don't see troopers in this substation, that's a good thing because everybody's out patrolling and doing what they're supposed to be doing. But if you have any questions and you want to talk to me afterwards, I'm always here. I'm always available after all the meetings. I think, Paul, I've been to every meeting except for the last one because we covered out the town, so I was at that meeting. Conflict, same day. But I stick around after every meeting, and I'm in the back. Anybody has any questions, please come see me, whether it's speeders on your road, problems with the neighbor, anything in between, and I'll help you out.
Thank you.
Last call, Mark, come on up.
Mark Murdy, 2614 Creek Road. This is what Quick is about. A lady just called the other day and wanted to know if they do CDNR, capture, neuter, CNR, capture, neuter, and release. My wife has her number if you'd like it. I will send it to you, okay? And again, thanks to the police department and everybody up here. That's Quick.
What was it, capture, neuter? That's got to be a joke somewhere.
Last call. Going, gone. Now we have comments from the administrator.
Thank you. Status update on the calendar year 19 road program. Publication for that, for receipt of bids will be February 19th with bid opening on March 4th. So I'm happy to see that that project is going to happen, and the goal is to get those roads milled and paved, as well as new curbing and the new ADA standards on those ramps and crosswalks by Memorial Day. Received today the 2019 CDBG sub-grant agreement, which allows us to proceed with the $75,000 grant award to install the ADA improvements, curbing, sidewalks along Washington, Edwin, Cottage, Broad, and Rancocas. I will be sending an RFP to the township and special project engineers this week. We'll be setting up a meeting with the finance liaisons and CFO to review our current budget proposal, where it's at. Our goal is to introduce the budget at next month's meeting with adoption on April 7th. Happy to let the body know that Tara and I have been taking online classes for Registrar of Vital Statistics certification so that we can be our current registrar's deputy and alternate deputy in her absence. I also wanted to just quickly explain the one resolution for the radon grant. The administration office will be putting this out to the public soon. This is a grant that's been made available to every municipality through DEP, the Bureau of Environmental Radiation Radon section, and that is for free radon kits available to the residents of Hainesport Township. So we get an actual $2,000 straight grant reimbursement. We were able, after 3 quotes, to get a total of, it's actually a lot, I think they were only $12 a piece, so a couple hundred radon test kits. So we'll be pushing out that announcement to the public soon as terms of, how to come in, how to get a radon test kit, and how to sign up with us, so people can come in on their own during normal business hours, and if we have any left, we'll push it out at Community Day. And that's it. Thank you.
Comments from the solicitor?
Unless anybody has any questions of me, I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Comments from the committee? I'll start with our 2 ladies. Leila first, please.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone, for coming out. And just a little note that Resolution 2020-64-2 was supporting the celebration of the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage. Unfortunately, New Jersey was number 29 in signing the amendment, but we did it, and it's a great honor to introduce this resolution. Since the last meeting, I attended the Environmental Commission meeting where they're planning for this year's Hainesport Day, along with improvements to the butterfly garden. Representatives from the commission will also be appearing at the Glen at Masons Creek to talk to the residents on Arbor Day. I also attended a meeting with the Burlington County Bridge Commission regarding finance options, grant writing, planning, and economic development assistance. On Friday, I attended a meeting with the New Jersey American Water in Delran, where I learned that they are proposing an increase to all classes of service of approximately 12.3%. This cost will affect the average homeowner 21 cents per day, or $6.46 more per month. However, it will cost the township for water to the fire hydrants and other uses about $1,000 more per month. They're in the process of going through all their necessary meetings and public meetings. So if you want any more information, please go to their website, New Jersey American Water, and click on the link. I also want to let you know, remind everybody, senior citizens meet the 2nd and the 4th Thursday. This month it's the 13th, which is this Thursday, and the 27th. Please keep your eye on the Hainesport Township website for updated news and events of the Recreation Department. They're initiating a new story time with seniors reading to children 2.5 to 5 years of age. The first one will be March 6th at 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. If you have any more questions, please contact Donna Casey extension 121 here at the building. And congratulations to the 2 new firefighters that joined the organization this month. Thank you. That's it.
Lee?
I appreciate everyone for coming out tonight. Get home safe.
Jerry? Yeah, first of all, there was quite a discussion about solicitors in the town, and so I looked into when solicitors can solicit, and it's until like 8:30 at night, and we're actually looking into changing that to dusk, because I don't think solicitors should be knocking on your doors when it's dark out. It scares a lot of people, and it makes them feel uncomfortable. So it's something we're working on. Unfortunately, you kind of have to give them a license to solicit. The other issue is the Second Amendment and the items that were discussed earlier. I know I had to take an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of New Jersey. So any of these amendments that is constitutionally accurate, I would support, because I took an oath to do it. And I'm not going to be intimidated by the opposition being rallied up about it. And I'm going to do the right thing and do what I'm supposed to do. My big question is, how is the governor not following our Constitution? And he took an oath to follow the Constitution. So that's a concern I have. And like I said, it's an easy decision for me because I have a job to do, and I took an oath to follow the rules, and it's kind of with no emotion, look at the facts and follow them. So if it's constitutionally accurate, I would have to support it. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone, especially people who don't live in town. It's nice to see you here. You know, some of you mentioned a topic dear to me because last year I brought a resolution criticizing the Attorney General for the sanctuary status of the state of New Jersey to illegal aliens. And I brought up my rationale, statistics and all that. I said that, look, 20% of the jails in the federal system are illegal aliens, which seems kind of high, doesn't it? There's 500,000 illegal aliens living in New Jersey, which means we're a magnet for illegal aliens. And they cost the state almost $4 billion a year in incarceration costs, welfare payments, medical payments, etc. And of course, we taxpayers are paying it all. Well, I brought that resolution, and I figured, hey, that the public should love this because we're taxpayers. We want to save money. But, you know, I got shot down by being called a racist, a nationalist, God forbid, nothing wrong with nationalism in my book, and a Nazi. That's how I got treated. But that was the vocal part of the population. I can tell you that we ended up taking a little informal poll, and I found out that most people were in my favor on the issue. A lot of people stopped at my office, thanked me out of the blue, called me up and wrote me letters, and I was very thankful to them all. Last year, because of all the perceived divisiveness, I had to withdraw the motion. This year, I think things are changing a little bit more. I think the public's becoming more and more aware of the issue. You know, I went down to Wildwood a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I went to see the president, but not just for that. I happened to speak with some of the Cape May officials, Cape May County, and they've actually brought a lawsuit. They had the gumption to bring a lawsuit against the governor and the attorney general, trying to overturn the sanctuary provisions on constitutional grounds. Because we all know that the United States Constitution preempts the issue of immigration entirely. You can't have 50 different rules for immigration in this country. That's ridiculous. It doesn't work. We don't have barriers between Pennsylvania and Jersey or New York. So what they let in New York comes here and vice versa. That's the way it is. So this year I'm going to bring another resolution. I hope I'll get the support of the body up here. And we have a new mayor. And hopefully we'll get something passed in that regard. The other issue, guns. Well, you know, I just happen to be a card-carrying gun owner. And I'm actually licensed in 31 states to carry a weapon, except New Jersey. I can't, I have to be careful in New Jersey. Now, we all know that criminals don't worry about those little things about getting licenses to carry weapons or to use weapons. Criminals are exempt, basically, from our laws, which just shows you how arcane the laws are, where law-abiding people can't get guns. Not only that, but it gets worse because the rules have to be somewhat, have some certainty to them. And in New Jersey, they're not. You know, I went to a seminar sponsored by lawyers, and the lawyers can't even figure it out. The way you define an assault weapon is, you ready for this one? It says, if you have more than 2 of the following 15 attributes, it's an assault weapon, all right? And they have certain rules for those weapons. They can't be sold in New Jersey, by the way. And if you're caught with one of these weapons, say you have 3 of the 10 characteristics, well, that's a big deal. You're tagged with a criminal offense. And lest you think these are important or significant attributes, some of them are ridiculous. It's whether your stock is flexible, whether it can be adjusted to fit your size, right? Or whether it's fixed and soldered together. That's one of them. Another one is the kind of muzzle it has on the end. It goes on and on. A lot of these characteristics are almost silly, but nevertheless, those are the things that define the law in New Jersey and can turn an innocent person into a criminal merely because he didn't know the rules. And like I said, lawyers don't know the rules either. I was just amazed. Now, there's other things they get you on to, you know, whether you have your bullets in a separate box compared to the rifle, or the pistol, which is supposed to be locked, and the bullets have to be locked, things like that. In any event, there are other states that used to have laws as arcane as New Jersey, which was the state of Illinois. But Illinois changed, and now they do actually allow a more liberal use, or at least possession of weapons without going to jail. And Illinois is no longer a place where they can spring these laws upon you that you wouldn't normally know. I always thought that in our system of government, we should know that something's wrong or illegal before we get arrested and charged with a crime. And I'd like to see that in New Jersey as well in regard to guns. Anyway, thanks for coming out.
So I have a comment. I'm going to enter my statement into the record and ask that it be made part of the minutes. And as you can see, each person up here is their own person and has their own opinions, and I respect and I encourage this. I believe people deserve to know what the deal is when they come and give you their lives of employment. We all understand that the money, if the money or the business runs out, change is coming, and it is not going to be good. That is not the case with the resolution that was passed in December, stripping already or almost retired 72 and 85-year-olds with very few years left in their lives who worked for us for up to 25 years and more, with a promise made, and they stood in the freezing rain directing traffic at an accident, or were awoken in the middle of the night to clear trees out of the road, or toiled under pressure to try and make sure the taxes were collected and the figures balanced, or even put this town first as one buried their only child. Hainesport is unique in a number of ways, and to compare us to what happens from the state or federal government or in our own lives or jobs is just not applicable or fair for our employees. Pulling the rug out from under these people for an amount that in my calculation amounts to about 0.0014 of our budget. That's what we were looking to spend for a cafeteria plan for our retired people. Our finances are super strong and our taxes are stable because our employees have always managed our town efficiently. And we have been lucky to employ a small staff of special people who deserve what they bargained for when their relationship with Hainesport started. Next time it snows in the middle of the night and you hear the snowplows coming by, be thankful we have a great dedicated staff working for us who do what it takes to keep this township running. If we're going to change our employment policies, let's have the courage to change them for new hires and not backpedal on promises we made just to look good to get elected or placate a few town agitators on Facebook. Thank you. And I would ask that this be made part of the record. And I'm gonna, give this to you. And then this is the list of,
22, right?
sanctuary cities.
It's 22.
Thank you. Is it sanctuary? Or is it? So, with that, we need an approval to pay the bills.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. And we do have executive session tonight. Any idea how long?
Maybe 10, 15 minutes?
So 10 or 15 minutes, you're welcome to stand by. We'll take a 5-minute recess.
Well, first of all, you need to adopt the resolution, so it's...
Oh, we need a resolution to enter into executive session. There you go.
20-68-2.
I'm warming up. I'm warming up. So
okay. Give a motion.
we have a motion.
Jerry, and second.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
And
Mayor
the
McLaughlin.
purpose of the executive session, as noted on our agenda, is personnel.
Will formal action be taken or no? Informal action will not be taken.
One good whack.
Remember I made that piece of corian?
We're on, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Can I have a motion to re-enter open session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to
And I will make,
So
a-
moved.
Second.
yep, I will make a motion. We have a vote on?
Yep.
All right,
All in favor?
We're in open session and now a motion to adjourn.
We did that.
Oh, we had made a
Yeah,
motion. to go
you're
in
not
open.
slow, you're just in faster company.
Yeah, oh, okay. All right, well, you guys run it, you don't need me. All right.
Thank you, everyone.
We're adjourned.
Did we take a vote? Surprise, you stuck around.
We said aye.
All right. Oh.